Hey, everybody. You are watching the Shit Talkin' Podcast. I'm your host, Christina.
And I am your host, Robin. Christina, you have a little bit of a sway going today.
I
Are you
did.
feeling?
I was
for,
grooving
for
to the
those,
music in my head.
Yeah. For those who aren't watching, Christina's kind of doing like a little sway. I'm almost going to call it like a little stripper move.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. You're
I think
welcome.
more like, I would call it a swagger, but isn't that more of like when you walk, you have a swagger, right?
Well, the reason I call it a stripper move is because this like sway you're doing is how I imagine I would be as a lazy stripper. Like that's all I would do. I would just
a
like
lazy stripper.
Yeah, like I don't think I'd be an active stripper. I would just kind of sway back and forth a little bit and like maybe do like a little shimmy. I don't know. Like I don't feel like I would give it a lot. I probably would be a really unsuccessful stripper.
I guess that's why you're not a stripper.
I don't think that's the only reason.
Oh, what are the other reasons?
I mean, I just had this conversation recently. And I know that there's a market for everything, but I don't see myself as like, who's going to want to see all this? You know what I mean?
I'm sure plenty of people.
I don't know. Like I would have to do maybe I'd have to do some work. And then I'd feel good about charging people to see the horror that would be.
Have you ever been to a strip club?
I have. And I've been to different calibers of strip club. Like I've been to really nice ones. And then I've been to ones like in the middle of Irvington where it looks like somebody got shot.
Yeah.
Like actually like there's like bullet holes.
I was going to say they don't all look great.
They don't. And I remember one time going to a strip club and I got like punked into touching the stripper because I'm very weird with.
Ooh.
Yes. I'm going to tell you how this happened. So the stripper, and I didn't know this at the time, but in New Jersey, for those of us who are, for our listeners who are not in New Jersey, in New Jersey, there are certain rules and regulations with strippers or strip clubs. And if the strippers or the dancers get totally nude in New Jersey, they cannot serve alcohol at the strip club. So it would be more of a juice bar if the stripper gets completely nude. Think of, for those of you who are old enough to remember, Hot 22, right? There was this place on 22, and they would get completely nude, but they just served like juice. There was no alcohol. Now, granted, I'm sure people, smuggled in the booze. But if they serve alcohol, like if it's a bar, the strippers don't really get completely nude. They usually have on like a bathing suit or something like that. And they may do like a little, my little lazy stripper dance. They do a little thing. And then you put the dollar bill in the top, right? Okay, I'm good with that. So my thing is, because I'm still very respectful of women, I'm not about you not making your money. So I'll give you the tip, but I'm not going to like squeeze you up and feel you up and do all these things, which I did see guys doing. Like they put the money in her bra, but they're like squeeze a titty while they're at it, And I'm like, well, that's just disrespectful. So anyway, the lady comes around, lovely woman, I'm sure. And I have whatever money I had. And I kind of just like placed it gingerly in the bikini top. And I was like, there you go. Wonderful dance. Have a great night. Well, she was offended that I didn't feel her up while I gave her the tip. I know. So I was kind of like, no, that's fine. Like, here's your money. And she's like, what? You don't want to touch me? And I go, I'm good. I'm good on the touching, right? She says to me, now granted, this was kind of like a hole in the wall place in the middle of Irvington. And she's like, you better touch me, bitch. And I did. I was like, okay. And I just felt her up. Because I didn't want to get beat up.
Was she serious or was she just playing with you?
Oh, she was serious. Like her face was a face of seriousness. And I was like,
wow.
Okay, I will then touch you. So I felt up a stripper.
Well, you got it like that, Robin. She wanted you.
I don't know. I mean, I was still giving her the money. Wouldn't you just want the money? I would just want the money.
I think they want the money. They want the money. Yeah.
Right. So why does it matter that I didn't feel you up with the money?
Was she hot?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. It wasn't even like I could say like oh, I felt up a hot stripper. Like, no, it was like so maybe I could get a job there. Like I might be able to, but
You're
I'm
beautiful.
not
You
sure
can get a job anywhere.
I'm not sure what they're bringing in at the Irvington Newark strip clubs. I don't know if anybody has answers to that about, you know, the median revenue, the median gross revenue of a stripper in the Irvington Newark area. Please
I'm
let
not
us
sure
know.
that they have a lot of metrics on that because I don't know that, that those are properly recorded.
I don't know. I'm assuming that all dancers, you know, accurately record their tips for tax purposes.
I'm sure that they do. I'm sure that they do. So going back to swagger, I looked it up on the interwebs. So you
On
know
the
this is
interwebs.
reliable. And it is a verb. As a verb, it's walk or behave in a very confident and typically arrogant or aggressive way.
That wasn't
As
an aggressive way.
Okay, as a noun, it's a very confident and typically arrogant or aggressive gait or manner. I never thought of it as aggressive. Maybe
No.
arrogant. I don't know. I typically thought like confident.
That's what I think too. I think of like confidence, maybe some arrogance, but not aggressive. I don't think it's aggressive. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But no, it was not aggressive what you were doing at all. Maybe confident. I don't even think arrogant. It was just like a little bit of a how you doing? You know?
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
So yes, for those of you who just logged on, you missed an entire conversation about strippers. But the good thing is that you can always just listen to this podcast again, and you can hear about my experience of being punked into feeling up a stripper in the streets of Irvington. It was a good time, but I don't know that I'd do it again.
When was that? Like last weekend?
It was last night. What are you talking about? I believe I was in law school, so I don't even know if this place is still open. I want to say this was circa.
It was a Hot 22?
It was not Hot 22 because I think at Hot 22, they really didn't encourage you to feel them up. I think they were perfectly fine with like, just give me my money and I'm fine. Now, granted,
I don't even know if that place is open anymore.
I don't think it is open anymore. But not that I frequent strip clubs, but there was another one in Rahway called Breathless that we used to go to when I was like post-college. But they had the best midnight buffet. Like their macaroni salad.
Oh,
we can put that into the list of things I love. I think since this is supposed to be about things that we love, I love strip club buffets. I won't eat at them now because now it grosses me out.
I never knew that they had a buffet.
You're not going to the right strip clubs, Christina. I feel like you're probably going to establishments that might be a little bit too classy. So I think that what we're going to do is we're going to take you to some of the less classy strip clubs, and you're going to have a midnight buffet. And the other reason I went was that when I was in college or just post-college, I was really, really broke. And if you go to a strip club as a woman, they always have drink specials for women. So it's a very cheap place to go. There's typically no cover charge, so you don't pay anything to get in. You go to the bar, and then every once in a while they'll make an announcement, and they're like, $2 shots for all the women. And you're like, yay! And then all the guys that are in the strip club, they're so happy to see non-stripper women in the strip club, they then buy you drinks too. So when you're in like your late 20s or mid 20s and you have no money, the strip club is a place to go.
But I thought that, guys would be more interested in the women that are naked or next to naked. So why do they get excited when, patrons come in, female patrons?
These are good questions. And I'd like to hear from our peanut gallery because we got some dudes in the peanut gallery. But what I think it is that I think that men are happy that there are women there that are like cool enough to be at a strip club. So they're like, she must be a cool chick because she's sitting in the strip club. She's taking shots of bad liquor. she's handing out singles to the strippers. Like, she seems like a cool chick. Let me like start up a conversation with her. Or it's just that in their minds, they think you must be open to a threesome. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
You sound like you've been frequent. I mean, you seem like you know a lot about all of this, Robin.
I like to pride myself in knowing and educating myself on all areas of life.
Well, you're doing a good job.
If that means I have to go to a fair amount of strip clubs in order to do that for the people so that you guys can hear these experiences, this is not for me, guys. This is for you.
I've been to a few. I think I did go to Frank's Chicken House way back where they're all nude.
Where is that?
I don't remember where that was.
Did they have chicken?
Manville?
I feel like there should be chicken.
There were chickens.
That place.
Oh, they were nude.
So did they comply with the laws not to whistleblow Frank's Chicken House? But were they serving alcohol?
I don't recall that they had alcohol there. No.
Hmm.
And what I do remember is there was like a runway, and the girls would come out, you know, make their way around this runway, and then like really like a runway. You know how in the fashion shows they've got the girl that comes down and she goes down, she makes her turn, and then as she's going back, there's another one coming out. That's what it was like. And,
that's hilarious.
And they would really put on a show.
Well, like, did they do like real shows like you see like on the movies where they're like, now to the stage is, you know, I don't know, Diamond, and then she like takes the stage and does like a routine?
I didn't see that there. They pretty much just came out, pranced around, and they do like, you know, I don't know why I'm getting shy all of a sudden. They would like spread their legs open, basically. Like if there was a guy there, they could pose themselves in certain ways, you know, to give you a better view.
Well, that's nice of them. That's very nice of them. I mean, what about your favorite place of Vegas? Have you ever gone to see a show in Vegas that was like a burlesque nature?
I did see a burlesque show. I saw Crazy Horse. I wasn't impressed.
Oh.
I mean,
oh.
It was underwhelming. And I did see the one, the Cirque du Soleil show that's supposed to be the dirty one. I forget what that one's called.
What made it dirty?
Well, there was topless women and, it was like it had a sexual theme.
I would just call that artsy.
I don't know. I mean, I love the Cirque du Soleil shows. Mm-hmm. So have you ever been to a Cirque show?
I haven't.
Well, they do a lot of acrobatics and gymnastics and stuff. So it's a performance like that where you expect to see a lot of acrobatics, and they had a little bit of that, but not much. It was sort of like they'd have these little skits, and it's been a while since I saw it, but they'd have these little skits, but there was always like, you know, a sexual theme to it, like people flirting or, you know, simulated porn or something like that. So I guess it did have an artistic flair to it, but it was okay. I don't know. Maybe strip clubs just aren't my thing. And then I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, I went to Thunder Down Under. Have you heard of that? It's a male strip club. It's like a male strip show.
If we're going to put a list of things I don't love, it's male strip clubs.
It was so stupid. Like, it was just so stupid. I was with somebody who was getting married. So I guess that's what you're supposed to do when, you know, you're about to get married, is you're supposed to go have some other guy's junk in your face.
And why not?
Yes. I mean, supposedly it's your last chance. I don't know where that comes from either, but, so we went to it. You know, most of those guys are gay. Like, they're notoriously gay.
That's what I thought. So if I'm about to get married, why do I want a gay man's junk in my face?
I mean, I just don't get the fun. I mean, some people are really into it. I
I'm not.
I just don't get it. It's I don't know. But it was interesting, and I can say that I went because when you go to Vegas, you see ads all over the place for them. It's like a really
Well,
popular show.
so to me, it's almost like a bucket list thing. It's like you are able to say, I went. Like, okay, I saw it, I went. I don't have to go back. I came, I saw, I conquered, kind of thing.
Yeah, so I
Or
mean, I
maybe
can say
not,
I
I think.
went, but it wasn't any big whoop. I
Hmm.
mean, but I'm not really into that. I mean, honestly, I think the women's strip clubs are more interesting. I don't know
I
why.
do too. And that's why I would think like if you're going down the list because you're like, oh, it seems like you've been to a lot of strip clubs. I think I have more fun at women's strip clubs than I do at men's strip clubs. And also because I'm old, especially like the last time I went was with my boyfriend. And I don't know why we went. I think we just didn't have anything else to do. Like we were like in the car and we're like, let's go to the club. And because we're both old, we went incredibly early. Like it was probably like 7 o'clock or something. Like it wasn't strip club time. So there's hardly anybody in there. And then half the time, like you end up just talking to the girls. Like you're like, yeah, so tell me about life. Like what's going on with you? Because there's nobody in there. I know that they're trying to make their money. But that particular night, what was kind of annoying to me is that because we were the only people in there, whoever was out, they would just like come over to us and then start doing their little dance and like shimmy and shake, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, I don't want to give you money.
Robin,
Like I'm just
I just
here.
got an idea. You know what we should do, right?
Are we going to take our podcast to the strip club?
Yeah.
Or are we just going to? Well, I'm wondering if we take our podcast to the strip club, who has to give us clearance? Like, does somebody at the strip club have to allow? Like, would they have to allow us to record?
Probably just the manager.
I like it.
I think that it's free marketing. It's free advertising.
I think we should take it to the strip club.
Yeah.
And that would maybe be like a, parental advisory shit talking podcast. Like make sure your kids are not in earshot because we don't know what's going to happen at the strip club. Like you don't know.
I mean, I don't know if we could do video. We definitely could do audio, but we could probably figure out how to do video too. But what do you guys think in the peanut gallery? Do you think we should, for fun, we should go to a strip club and record?
I think we should. I know you're waiting on the peanut gallery. I vote yes. I think
we're doing it. I'm just asking for their
talking podcast from the strip club. And you guys can submit your questions. Like, what do you want to know about at the strip club? What's going on? What are we drinking? What's the music like? What are the girls doing? Maybe we can just be descriptive. Now there's 2 girls on stage. Here's what's happening. Maybe not.
I've always loved strip clubs because they're really good people watching. Like I always was curious about, well, what do the men do when they're there? Because before you ever go, you imagine these crazy like things that are going on.
Yeah,
that really aren't. Like where I've been, most of the guys just sat there, pretty well behaved for the most part. That's what I said. Although the one where they were all naked, there was a guy that tried to grab onto one of the girls and the security was on him like really fast. And I have heard that at some of these establishments, there are some things that go on in the back.
In the champagne room?
Oh, well, yeah, whatever they call it. That probably is supposed to go on. But I don't know that happens everywhere. I mean, so if you're a stripper and you go work at a strip club, if that's happening, there's some girls that are going in the back doing other favors for extra money.
Yeah.
Are you expected to do that? I mean,
I don't know if you're expected to do it, but based upon my research, AKA my viewing of the seminal film, The Players Club, I think that what ends up happening is that you're not necessarily expected to do it, but it's understood that the girls that do that make more money. Like if you want to make real money, you basically have to be willing to do these favors, but I don't think that you have to. And I also think that most of the time it's not necessarily endorsed by the club. Like you're doing this on your own many times behind the back of the club that you're working for, because I'm sure the club can get in a lot of trouble if there's like prostitution happening at the club, you know?
Yes. Steve says, are they even open? I think he's right. Right now, they're probably not. I mean, I can't imagine, you know, that a strip club, you're not exposed to COVID, especially if you're grabbing onto people.
You know what? Maybe I'm going to open up a strip club, right? And I will call it nothing but masks. So all the girls are wearing are masks, and that's it. And that's like the gimmick, is that you come in and there will be masks, but nothing else.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you feel like if you opened a strip club, and I ask this question in general too, do you feel like you would be exploiting women? Like, do you feel like strippers are being exploited?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
So part of me says no, because I think that it is a choice that these women are making. I don't necessarily think it's exploitation. I do think that, you know, there's nothing wrong with a woman embracing her sexuality and perhaps even, you know, capitalizing on that sexuality if that's what she chooses to do. So I don't know that I'm looking at it as, I more look at it as exploitation if that woman feels forced into that and that is not what she wants to do, which I do think that many strippers, that might be their situation, that because of poverty, because of lack of education, because of lack of other choices, they feel like they don't have any other resources. Like really the only resource they have are their bodies. And that I kind of have a problem with, but I feel differently about a woman who's just like, no, I like doing this. This makes me feel good. Then no, but like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Just on face value. Like, are you going to go up to each stripper and say, excuse me, miss, are you here because you want to be, or are you here because you feel like you don't have any other life choices? Like,
but how many of them are even aware of it? You know, like we've talked about the poverty, the cycle of poverty.
Right.
And how sometimes people just kind of continue that cycle because they don't really know any better. They don't know how to do better.
Right.
And I wonder if for some people it's like that, for strippers, say. I wonder if it's like that, like they don't know what to do better, how to do better, because you don't know what kind of home life they've had, you know, or what their background is.
Well, I understand that it's slightly more sexual, but how is that different than the girls who work at Hooters or Tilted? Like, you're still saying, I'm going to throw on these butt shorts and this, you know, tank top, and I have, you know, big boobs. I'm going to go work at Hooters and I'm going to make tips. You're still kind of using your body to make money. And a lot of these people are saying, look, I'm working this job because I'm trying to put myself through school, or this is not my life decision. But a stripper may be saying the same thing of like, I'm going to strip because I want to get through school. And this is a good way to make money. And I can do something else during the day and maybe do this at night. Or, you know, I don't know. But I also think, you know, in a way, if you find out that information, it probably would ruin the stripper experience. Like, this poor woman is here because she has no other choice. But I don't know. Do you think that it's different? Do you think that it's different from, like I said, like maybe the girls that work at Hooters or the girls that work at Tilted Kilt, or, you know,
there whatever may be some similarities, but I think there's a big difference between dressing up in a Hooters outfit and serving food and being a stripper where you're like, that's what you're not there to serve food and you just happen to be wearing a sexy outfit. Like, you're showing your stuff, and you know, it's more based upon sex. Have you been to Hooters? I'm assuming you've been to Hooters.
I have, and the wings are delicious.
Yeah, they are. The wings are good.
Really good.
I mean, look, would I want my goddaughter to work at Hooters? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't like that. I mean, certainly wouldn't want her to be a stripper. And I don't mean to say this I don't want to, you know, be disrespectful to strippers, because if you're right, it's their choice to do that for whatever reason. And I don't want to disrespect them, but I feel like in my heart, I feel sad for them at the same time. It's like, why do you have to, you know, be overtly sexual and show yourself? Maybe you're naked, and in a way you're selling sex to make money. Like, why?
Right.
I would not want to see a woman do that or even feel like she has to do that. And you're right. There are some women, they want to do it. They like it.
Yeah.
They get a rush out of that, and more power to them. More
Right.
power to them.
And it's
I don't know
very
if
funny
that's
because but it is all about perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because in a way, that same woman that I'm looking at and I'm going, man, I feel sorry for you that you feel like you have to do this. She may be looking at me and going, I feel sorry that you have a shit ton of student debt and you have to get up every single day and work your ass off because I'm debt free and I have the car I want and I have the house I want and I'm working 4 hours a day. So who's really boo-boo the fool here? I think it's you, lady. Like, I'm doing okay. Like, she may be looking at me and saying, I actually feel sorry for you that this is the life you're living. Whereas I'm looking at her and saying, well, I'm living this dignified life where I made this choice that I'm going to get this education and open a business. And she may kind of be looking at me like, I mean, I'm in a better position than you are, and you're kind of the idiot because you're working a lot harder than I am.
Yeah,
and I'm doing okay.
You're right. It's all perception. I mean, the place I think of, like the more classy joints where they actually do make a lot of money, is Scores.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go to a Scores just to see what the experience.
Are those still open too?
I don't even know. Probably. I don't know. I mean, will they open again? I don't know. But there must be something like that, a place like that.
I haven't heard of Scores in like forever. I'm looking up the Scores. Let's see. Scores, like what would I call it? Scores Club?
Yeah, Scores Club.
Let's see. So
Gentlemen's Club.
Oh, well, there is one. Scores Gentlemen's and Steakhouse. And I do love steak.
There's a steakhouse?
There is. See, you're not embracing stripper food, Christina. And I think that you need to embrace that, yes, there's going to be buffets, and yes, there should be steaks.
Well, hey, I like my food, so I'll go and watch the strippers and eat too.
Well, there is, according to the interwebs, a Scores Gentlemen's and Steakhouse on West 28th Street in New York, and it opens at 8 p.m.
It's open tonight?
That's what it's saying. I don't know. You know what? Had I known that this would be our topic, I would have called ahead of time to see if they were open. But I will also say that, I don't know, the reviews are a little bit shaky. 3.3 stars out of 5.
Well, Steve has a good point. Lawyers can work into old age, not strippers. Yeah, I mean, he's right. That was something I was thinking too, is I think professionals have more longevity.
That is true. But I also think there's a market for everything. Somebody's going to want to see old strippers.
Yeah, well, they have porn like that, right? They have crazy porn, like midgets, fat people, old people.
Right. Amputees, a one-legged. I'm just saying, there is a market for everything.
Right.
So I'm sure there's a market for old strippers. Maybe that should be what we find. We should find an old stripper strip club.
For the old guys.
Yeah.
Well, they're probably still going to the ones where the young girls are. I mean, I would be interested in talking to some strippers about, how they ended up doing what they do.
Hey, if there are any strippers listening and you want to talk to us about how you ended up stripping, how you feel about it, do you feel exploited? Do you feel empowered? Because there were some comments in the peanut gallery that there are many women out there that love that feeling of just having men lusting after them. It makes them feel powerful, like they're in control. I read an article recently. I feel like it was I don't remember what it was in. But it was about this woman who is a dominatrix. And essentially, men pay her to yell at them, order them around, maybe occasionally whip them, but basically degrade them. And she's saying that men will pay her for this. And not only is she being paid and being paid handsomely for doing this, but vacations are paid for, houses are paid for, because as part of this, she might say to the guy, send me on vacation. And he goes, okay, mistress, whatever. And then he sends her on vacation. And I'm reading this article, right? lick my boots, do all of these things. Like a lot of men will pay for that. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm reading this article, I'm in the wrong profession. I can order it. Like why am I not ordering men around for pay? If you want to pay me to insult you, I'm happy to. I insult people for free. Like I would insult you for pay.
Would you really want to do that?
I
mean, you could go do it if that's what you want to do. Go do it. I'm sure they have apps. They have that sugar baby app or something.
Oh, I think I'm too old to be a sugar baby. I think you have to actually be a baby.
You probably have something similar, where there's some dude that wants to get beat up and pay you for it.
But I guess I say that to say that there are women out there and that feels empowering to her of like, I feel powerful. These men pay me to do like these crazy things or to make them do these crazy things. And why not? You know what I mean? So in a way, I think it really just depends on the person and whether she feels exploited. I don't know that we can put a blanket caption on all of them that these are exploited people. I think that there probably are quite a few who are. I don't know, but some might just be like, hey, I'm living the dream. I don't know. Let's talk to some strippers. Strippers, talk to us. Tell us what's going on.
What do you guys think? In the gallery.
I mean, I think that and this is very odd. I think for the first time in a long time, our peanut gallery, I think right now is all men. And maybe this is because we spent the last half an hour talking about strippers.
Yeah, all the women left.
Yeah, all the women are like, I don't know.
I think, there's sort of a joke that, the strippers only say that they're putting themselves through school and like, they're not. I mean, there probably are like some that are, but that's sort of the joke is like, they all say, I'm putting myself through college but they're really not.
No. They've been putting themselves through college for the past 8 years.
Yeah, I wonder what the shelf life is of a stripper. Like I guess I'm assuming they have to be 18 to do that.
No, you would have to be 18. You would have to be.
What age are they typically done with that?
Our peanut gallery, one of our comments is that strippers are exploited, every single one of them. Every single one is an exploited woman. I tend to disagree. I think that there might be people out there that are doing it because it makes them feel good and it makes them happy. And I think that when we look at exploitation, it's something being put upon you that you otherwise would not want to do. And for example, I saw another article about, and I can't remember this woman's name, but she's an attorney by day, and she has like an OnlyFans page where she like takes off her clothes for money. And she's like, yeah, I'm still a lawyer.
I feel like
I love lawyering.
Like it's just dysfunctional.
But why are we saying that? Like just for the purposes of debate, why are we saying that if you are a woman who is embracing and comfortable with, and you want to share your sexuality, that there must be something wrong with you? Maybe she just likes it.
Yeah, but if she likes it, it's probably because something happened to her in her childhood that affected her, the way that she sees herself and the way that she wants to present herself. I mean, I just have a hard time believing that there's something healthy with somebody that wants to basically be a sex worker. Because isn't that really what that is? It's a sex worker.
Well, I mean, what about this, right? We tell women all the time that it's okay to be sexual and that it's bullshit that society tells us that we can't be, or we can't enjoy sex, or we can't enjoy our own bodies. And then we also tell people in that same, I guess kind of this new age theory of, well, you should do what you love. You should pursue your passion. So what if I'm a woman and my passion is sex? I love having sex. What if that's what I love doing? And I go, if I love having sex and that's what makes me happy, why not make money doing that? If that could be my job because I really enjoy it. And I'm basically saying I am going to, let go of what society tells me what I'm supposed to like or not like, or that I have to act like a lady, or that, good girls don't have sex with a lot of men. Maybe I say, screw all of that. I like having sex and that's what I want to do. And then I say, I'm going to make money doing what I like doing. But then somebody says to me, well, then there must be something wrong with you if you like that. Like, maybe there's not. Maybe there's just women out there that go, I really like sex and I can make money doing it. So why not?
I don't know why. I feel like I can't articulate why I think that, but I do think that that woman is rare. I'm not saying
Well, she might be.
But
she might be
very rare, maybe, if she exists. I think that most women who are sex workers, I think there's something unhealthy that drives them to do that.
Well, do you also think that you have to automatically categorize a stripper as a sex worker? So what if I'm a stripper and in reality, I dance? That's all I do. I get on stage, I take off my top, I do a little shimmy, I make some money. I'm not doing the extras. I'm not doing the parties. I'm not doing the hand jobs in the back. I am not having sex for money. I am simply stripping for money. Do you still define her as
sex?
But we all sell sex.
Let's see, is
Models
a stripper
sell
a sex
sex.
worker? I'm gonna look and see. Is a stripper?
I think that in American society, sex sells. I think they sell sex. Commercials sell sex. Half the time you see like, what were those like Carl's Jr. ads or something, and the women are like in a bikini eating a burger and like sudsing up. That's selling sex.
Yeah, it
That's
does
all
sell,
it is.
but your question was, is a stripper a sex worker? And my answer is yes. I believe that a stripper is a sex worker.
So you're basically saying that every single person who is a stripper, there's something wrong with her mentally for choosing sex work.
Okay, so those are two questions. The first question is a stripper a sex worker? My answer is yes.
And you say yes.
The second question is every single stripper on the face of the planet dysfunctional? So the only way to disprove that is to find one that's not. I think maybe you could find one that's not. You maybe you can find a few that aren't. But I think that what drives a person to be a stripper or a sex worker in general, I think there's something unhealthy that drives them to do that. Yes.
And I think that's incredibly judgy. I think there are going to be women out there that go, you know what? Fuck you, Christina, Miss Big Lawyer. You think there's something wrong with me because I'm a sex worker? And maybe you're right. I'm not a psychologist. You know what I mean? Like maybe a psychologist would agree with you and go, yeah, you're kind of right. But I think because I'm not in that position, I find it hard to judge women that do that. And well, maybe judge is a strong word because I'm not saying you're judging them. I'm saying that the statement comes off judgy because you're saying anyone who chooses to be a stripper, you are in some way dysfunctional if that is a choice that you make. And I don't know that I agree with that.
Well, I mean, I think everybody's got dysfunction. I think every single person on the face of the planet has dysfunction. I'm not judging them, as you say. I'm making an observation. There's no emotion attached to it. I'm not saying you're a bad person. You're less than me because you're a stripper. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that there's something unhealthy that allows you to sell yourself for sex. That's all I'm saying. I have plenty of things that have happened to me in my lifetime that have led me to have dysfunctional and unhealthy behaviors. We're not going to talk about them right now. But
maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. Or maybe I'll talk about them privately. It wasn't stripping. There was other stuff that was, maybe even equally unhealthy. So I fully admit that. So I don't think that I'm judging when I say that I think there's something unhealthy that drives somebody to be a sex worker.
I don't know. I would be interested in delving into this, and I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know who would be an authority on stripper psychology. I don't know. Like, I don't know who that is, but maybe if we can find that person who might be an authority.
There are sociologists that study these kinds of things. And I would be interested because I'm, as a lay person, these are just my own personal observations. Could be right or wrong. But there's people that have actually studied these things and they have data and they have talked to strippers and heard.
Well, yeah,
trends.
I would just be really interested because I think that, you know, I have I have trouble as a person labeling an entire group of people as, if you choose to do this, you must be dysfunctional in some way. I have trouble doing that
But why
because
is it wrong to say that someone's dysfunctional? Like,
because
addicts
they
are
may be
dysfunctional. You know,
because they may
I
be
don't
dysfunctional, but I don't think your choice to be a stripper in and of itself makes you dysfunctional. You might be dysfunctional otherwise. I'm sure I'm dysfunctional,
I
but
think
like,
it's a symptom of something.
but I don't know that it always is. I think that it's a little bit of a blanket statement to say, if you choose to do that, that is always a symptom that you have some underlying problem, especially because, you know, I know it is the running joke of like, I'm putting myself through school. But maybe there's somebody who is. Maybe there really is somebody who's like, look, I'm going to strip for 3 years.
But I did say that there may be some women like that, but I think overall, most of them are not that woman. I don't think most of the strippers are, you know, have had, you know, a deep reflection on, well, you know, I'm going to school. I am young. I have a great body. The hours work for me. You know, I've explored what other options I have, and this is the best one for me. I don't think that many of them are having that dialogue.
Well, maybe not. It might not be even a school thing, but I do think that there could be some women out there that are having a dialogue of, I'm young, I have a great body, I like dancing, I like attention, and I'm going to go strip for a little while.
Sure.
And if I decide I don't like it,
but I don't think it's
wait, I know, but that's why I said I can't make a blanket statement that you must then be dysfunctional. There might be some people who aren't, and I'm sure there are plenty who are. I agree with you that I think plenty of people who choose that profession or any line of sex work may have some underlying issues that push them towards that. What I'm saying is I'm not comfortable saying, if you're a sex worker, you must have some underlying dysfunction. That the two are automatically linked. I think
that's really what I said. Do you think that's what I said?
Yes, I do. That's what I heard. That's what I heard was, if you choose to be a sex worker, there's something wrong with you. That's what I heard. And I said, well, I disagree that that's every sex worker. I didn't agree.
Say it was every sex worker.
That's what I heard.
Are we having our first fight?
No, we're not having a fight. I think we're having a debate. We're just debating an issue, because what I heard was, and the beauty is, this is a podcast, guys, so you can go back and listen and say, did Christina say that, or is Robin full of shit? Because I could be. But what I heard was, for you to choose that line of work, there's something wrong with you. And I said, I have trouble with that being a blanket statement.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
I didn't say there was something wrong with them. I think you might be getting offended by my language, the language.
I'm not offended. I'm just disagreeing with you.
I think there's something unhealthy that drives them to do that.
And I'm saying I disagree with that. That I don't think that in every instance there is something unhealthy. I think in many there probably are. But I think that there could be instances where there is not something unhealthy driving a woman to do that. And I think that part of what I struggle with, and I think that in some instances all women struggle with this, is that we're grappling with, we're supposed to be, I'm woman, hear me roar, I can be sexual, I can do whatever I want with my body, my choice, don't judge me for what I want to do. If I want to walk around with my tits out, I get to do that. But then when you do, well, there must be something wrong with you because you're doing that. It can't be both, is my issue, is that we can't tell women it is okay to fully embrace your sexuality and be okay with it. But then if a woman does that, say, but if you do that, there's probably something wrong with you. I think it sends mixed messages.
Well, I mean, they can do whatever they want. Everybody can make whatever choices they want. I'm not going to tell them not to do it. That's their own journey. That's up to them to decide, am I comfortable with this? Is there something nagging me in the back of my head about what I'm doing? If they're totally comfortable with it, that's their choice. We all get our own life. We all get to do what we want. I always tell people in my office, you know what? Our clients, they get to make their own bad decisions. It's up to them. Whatever they want to do, whatever bad decisions I want to make, I'm sure there's plenty of things if I put my life on display. There's plenty of stuff that people would point out like, "Oh, what are you doing that for? That's unhealthy," or, why'd you do that? Like, trust me, I got plenty to talk about in therapy.
Right. Why are you drinking wine every night, Robin? These are good questions,
Trust
guys.
me, there's far worse than that to talk about. But I don't know. Like, let's put it this way. I mean, if you had a daughter and she wanted to be a stripper, would that not concern you a tiny bit? Like,
I think I'd want to. Well, I would want to know why. Yeah. Like, and I think that if her reason, also depending on her age, if she's 18, she can kind of do what she wants. My opinion is my opinion. But I think that if her underlying reason was, you know what, I am comfortable with my body. I enjoy my body. I want to dance. I think that it's fun. What can I really say? If she's saying, well, I'm doing it, or maybe even if I know, because she may not understand what these underlying things are, and maybe as her mom, I do. So maybe if I'm saying, I really think that you have daddy issues, I think that's the problem. Or I really think that, you had these things happen in your childhood, and maybe that's the problem. I think I'd want to explore why she wants to do that. But I can't sit around and say, like, oh, if my daughter wants to be a stripper, I don't care, go do it. I'm certainly not going to say that that's my thought, but I also think that I wouldn't automatically say, well, what's wrong with you that you want to do that? I'd want to know why. Well, like, why? But at the same time, people can say that about.
She wants to be, a progressive woman. I'm comfortable with my body. I'm choosing to do this because I want to. Like, why would you even need to feel concerned at all? Like,
yeah, but if
what you're saying.
But if that's her reason,
that's not
then
maybe being her best self.
Well, but if that's her reason,
what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, but what can I say to that? If that's her reason, if she says, because Mom, you have always taught me that my body is mine, I can do what I want with it, what I choose to do with it, because what makes me feel good and powerful as a woman is to go out and be a stripper. How do I argue that? I kind of go.
Why would you even have to ask the question? Like, if she went and said, "Hey, Mom, I'm gonna go, be a doctor," you wouldn't say, like, "Sweetie, why do you feel the need to do that?" So why would you need to ask her that if she wanted to be a stripper?
I think that in that instance, you're wrong, because I probably would still ask. Like, I think anything that she says she wants to do, I'd want to know why. Because, for example, when people say to me, I want to be a lawyer, I always go, why? Tell me why you want to be a lawyer. And they go, well, I want to be a lawyer because I want to make money. And I go, that's not a good reason. So we need to unpack that. You know what I mean? Or I want to be a lawyer because I want to help people, or I really love research, or I love oral advocacy, or whatever it is. But I think anything that and this is kind of a hard hypothetical because I don't have a child, I might feel completely differently if I did. Like, maybe if I had a daughter, I'd be like, hell fucking no. If she wanted to be a stripper, I'd beat her ass. And there's you know what I mean? It's really easy for me to have this liberal, free-flowing conversation with no daughter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
I would never want. I would never want to make any woman feel shame or feel, demeaned in any way because she chooses to be a sex worker. Like, that's not my intent.
But I do agree with you that
I would want her to want better for herself. That's what I want. I want the sex worker to want better for herself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't disagree with you that I would think a majority of women who choose sex work, there's an underlying issue there. I absolutely agree. I think, like I said, I just have a problem with blanket statements, because I'm sure there's one person out there that's like, that's not me.
Oh, I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. Now, let's have a more extreme example. Like, what about a porn star? Like someone who's having sex on camera. I can get really crap, but I won't, because I have a major potty mouth. What about her?
We have been wanting to talk to a porn star too, because I would love to know. For this is why I want to talk to a stripper. It's like, well, what made you get into that line of work? What, and it could be some people that are just like, hey, like, to me, it's just acting. And it's funny because I also think, and I feel like we're getting so off. We didn't even talk about
We
things
didn't
we
even
love.
talk about the damn subject at all.
Damn it. One day, guys, I'm telling you, I promise. One day we're gonna post the topic of the show, and then that's what we're gonna talk about. One day that's gonna happen.
Someday. The world will
Someday.
end once that happens.
Right, and then after that, it was like, wait, they actually talked on shit talking about the topic they said they were going to talk about. What's that? What I was going to say, porn stars. I was saying I was watching some show, right, and this woman was talking about how we as a society just place too much of an importance, like almost too much of a price tag on sex itself. And she's kind of saying for her, she's like, it's just sex. So what? Like, so if I'm an actress and I want to have sex while I'm acting, who cares? Now, I don't know that I don't feel that way. I don't think that sex is just sex, but I would be curious. And I would also be curious if that same sociologist that we're going to magically find to talk about the psychology of stripping could also talk about the psychology of porn work to say, like, what percentage of these women are essentially exploited or doing this because there are background, issues or traumas or dysfunctions or something like that. Like, I would love to know. I'm sure there's data on that. Like, I would love to know.
There must be.
Man.
I mean, I said, we all have dysfunction. It's just, you can't always see it. Right. I can't, like, if I talked to you long enough and really got into your like nitty gritty of your childhood and, things that happened to you, your dysfunction might be like this big, like tiny amount. Whereas
but there's going to be some,
a lot more. And I think people like porn stars, you see it, manifested because just by the nature of what they do for a living.
Yeah. I mean, Anthony from our Peanut Gallery says that there are documentaries about why people went into porn. My only concern about documentaries, though, is that they are made for entertainment. So they want people that have the story. They want people that have the interesting background that they can get into. So I feel like that makes for interesting watching. I think if you had a woman who was like, I just like fucking, that would kind of be a boring documentary. Like, I think they do want somebody who has a backstory.
Well, I bet you that a lot of them have, grew up with child abuse or sexual abuse.
Maybe.
I would bet that there's a lot of that.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to research this for you guys, for all of our shit talking viewers and listeners. We're going to make that promise to you. We're going to crack the code of stripping and porn. That's what we're going to do for you.
Yeah. I really want to find a sociologist though, because I feel like you're not going to get like, we really need like a very objective, almost just scientific analysis. And you're not going to get that from a sex worker. I'm sure that a sex worker would be very offended by the things that I'm saying.
Well, but I also think that people are generally, as human beings, sex workers or not, people are generally not very self-aware. So if you say to any given person, why do you do the things you do? Most of us don't know. I mean, I'm sure if you ask me why I do half the shit I do, I may not know the underlying reason for why I did that or why I chose to, look this way or why I choose, somebody could come to me and say, Robin, why do you choose to wear makeup every day? And I will go, because I just like it. Well, maybe there's some underlying self-esteem issue that I'm not even aware of, that I feel like I have to change my appearance on a daily basis in order to feel accepted by society. How many people are going to fucking say that? Like, people don't know. They're like, because I want to. So I think any sex worker is going to go, I do it because I like it. So I think we need, like you said, like a research person, like somebody with some credentials.
Well, sometimes coaches will the good suggestion, Anthony. He says there's some people at Rutgers. Yeah, I mean, they're around. I know for sure they're around. I totally lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Coaches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So coaches will, they'll always ask you why, because they'll say, okay, so what is it that you want?
Mhm.
Well, I want money. Well, why do you want that? And then you just keep asking why, like again and again and
Yeah.
again, because you don't get like the real answer right away. You have to like dig under the surface to really get
Mm.
to the real root of it. So I would be curious if you just kept asking a sex worker like why, but
Why?
why? Like why does being on camera having sex make you feel alive or feel good about yourself, or whatever the reason is?
Yeah.
Like
I
where does
mean,
it come from?
maybe what we really could find, which would be awesome, is if we found a sex worker who really and truly is stripping to put herself through school, and she's happening to major in psychology or sociology. And then we can bring her on. Let's find that unicorn. And then bring her on and say, analyze yourself, lady. I'd like to know why do you do the things you do? But I don't know. I think it might be interesting. It would be interesting for sure to talk to somebody who's done the research and has looked into it. And I do think it would be interesting to talk to someone who's done it, whether, she's self-aware or not, as to why she's doing it.
I'm sure that there are some strippers that aren't like majorly dysfunctional. And we're just like, you know what? I'm comfortable with my body and I can make a lot of money doing this.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's most of them. Like, I think that's
Well,
not the
if you're looking statistically, if you're looking at the number of strippers that there are in this world, statistically, you're probably quite right that it's a small statistical portion of strippers, because you feel like there's probably a whole lot of strippers that are doing it for that reason of, this is just what I like to do and I'm comfortable with my body and I'm happy. If you're taking the majority of them, there probably is an underlying issue, but I want to know. I want to know now.
Well, it would be interesting to hear what the strippers say. I don't expect them to be self-aware enough to really even acknowledge that they had a daddy issue or mommy didn't pay enough attention to me. So now I gotta shake my ass up on a stage. Although I don't know, like Madonna comes to mind. I mean, she's been bearing her boobs for years.
Right.
Dysfunctional. I don't really think of her as dysfunctional, but I also don't know her personally. I don't, but
well, she's also of celebrity status and she has a lot of money, and that's kind of her shtick is, I'm overtly sexual and I'm going to do these sexual things. But like I said, when you have somebody who's overtly sexual in that way, while we might not call her a sex worker, she is on some level selling sex.
Yeah, so, you're
right. You kind of think, well, why do we not look at her as having dysfunction? And maybe she did. I don't know what her childhood was like. I mean, maybe I should do some research on what her childhood was like. But, maybe she does have a level of dysfunction as well.
She does. Everybody does. Like, we all have dysfunction. Like, I don't mean to use the word dysfunction like it's this dirty word. Everybody has it. But I do happen to know that her mother died when she was 5. And she will tell you, like, you can find in articles everywhere and interviews that she was deeply affected by that her whole life. And there was never even any explanation given to her when she was a kid. Like, she's like, my mom was there and then she wasn't. And she has said in interviews, because I'm a huge Madonna fan, that she feels like her life would have been completely different if she had had her mother. So,
well, I guess what I'm saying is, you're a huge fan of hers, and she did have a childhood that was tough. You know what I mean? And I don't know a lot about it. And, maybe I'd look into a little bit more just for my own knowledge, like what her childhood and her life was like. But I think that when we look at someone like her, who has obviously pushed somewhat on the side of more sexual, of selling sex in a way, not in being a sex worker, because she's not, but she's definitely sells sex and is overtly sexual. None of us look at her and go, oh, I feel so bad for her. She's so exploited. You know what I mean? Like, you don't go there, but when it's a stripper.
But she has gotten a lot of criticism in the media for being overtly sexual. So some people actually are saying that. It's not us. But yes, I see what you mean. I look at Madonna differently than I do, the no-name girl dancing on a pole. I
right.
do.
And Madonna could have ended up being that no-name girl dancing on a pole. She just ended up on a different trajectory, but we just kind of don't look at her in that same way because of where she ended up.
Yeah.
Because and when you think about it, like, I feel like, again, we're going down a rabbit hole, but like, we all, you could have the same set of circumstances, right? And then one person ends up to the left and one person ends up to the right. You know what I mean? Like, there could be one decision you make in your life, one split decision that changes the trajectory of your whole life. And that doesn't mean your childhood was any better or worse, or you were given more opportunities that somebody else wasn't. It could be one little thing that turns you from Madonna to I'm just the girl that's stripping. You know what I mean? Like, it's just odd. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there is. Maybe it's Madonna also had talent and hard work and ethic that maybe somebody else didn't. I'm not trying to discredit what Madonna did. I'm sure she worked really hard for where she is. But I just think it's interesting that two people can kind of be in the same circumstance and one person like goes here and the other person just like, whoo.
Yeah, and you're right. It's interesting that I and other people would look at it differently because she's a celebrity who has a lot of money when she's really doing the same exact thing that, some stripper who isn't making a lot of money and isn't a celebrity, she's doing the same thing, but I would somehow have a different opinion of the two of them.
Well, I think that's just the way of life, Christina.
Yeah, so something to think about.
Something to ponder. So, guys, thanks for listening to Things We Love.
It wasn't really about that.
Apparently, we love strippers. Apparently, that's what we love, guys. We love strippers. I think that's what we got out of this show.
Like analyzing strippers.
Oh, boy. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for rocking with us, even though we were way off topic. We appreciate you watching and listening.
Very interesting that there were all men in the peanut gallery today.
We know how to keep them now. Now we know if we want our male peanut gallery to stay with us, we need to bring some strippers into it.
I am curious, though, what the women would have said.
Well, guys, you can watch this show, whether it's on Facebook. If you want to go back to the Shit Talking Facebook page and watch, you can still comment after the fact. We'd love to hear what you have to say when you're watching, because I am interested, what the female perspective on this would have been, because I would not like the only female perspective to be Christina and me. I mean, we have our perspectives, but I'd love to hear from everyone else, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you think there's only two perspectives? Either they're dysfunctional or they're not, or they're,
I don't know. There might be a whole third or fourth perspective that we didn't even think of.
Must be other things we're not considering.
Yeah. We're by no means stripper experts. So when you watch the playback of this live, comment, please. We'd love to hear from you.
All right. So we will see you next week on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. New time. New time, everybody.
That's right. Good night.